Hey everyone, Professor Baldwin here. Today we're going to look at how to simplify an expression. But this expression is a bunch of fractions. And not just any fractions, they're fractions with binomials and monomials in the denominator. So remember that whenever you combine or simplify an expression that has fractions, you need a common denominator. So if we had the fraction 1/2 and we are adding it to the fraction 1/3, we would need a common denominator between those two fractions. And the quickest way to find the denominator that they have in common is to multiply those given denominators. So here we would use 6. And then remember, you multiplied the given denominator of 2 by the other denominator, 3, to get the 6. So you need to multiply the numerator by the same thing, 3. So the first fraction would be equivalent to 3/6, and the second would be equivalent to 2/6. And then because they have common denominators, we can add the numerators together, which is 5, keep that common denominator 6, and then if possible, we would simplify. We use that same process here when we have monomials and binomials in our denominator. That means our common denominator here, the quickest one we can find, is to multiply all 3 of the given denominators, which would be x minus 2 times x plus 2 times x. And I'm just going to leave it in that factored form for now, especially since our final answer needs to be in factored form. Now that I have that common denominator, I will put that common denominator here for all 3 of those given fractions. I like to put my x first, so we'll put x, x minus 2, and x plus 2. If I put my x first, I'm less likely to forget it later on. So now I have the common denominator for all 3 of those fractions. If I go back to my first fraction, it started with a denominator of x minus 2. So what it was missing was the x plus 2 times the x. That means I have to multiply my numerator, 1, by that x and that x plus 2. And then we go on to the second fraction. It started with a denominator of x plus 2, so it's missing x and x minus 2 times that given denominator of 1. And our final fraction only had a denominator of x, so we need to multiply that numerator by x minus 2 and x plus 2. And it also had a 1. Now, in order to be able to combine these numerators, we need to distribute and get rid of all of the parentheses in the numerators. So we'll work through each fraction individually, and then we'll combine them. Well, 1 times x is just x for the first numerator. So we have x times x plus 2. Or x squared plus 2x. And if we go to the second, again, 1 times x is just x. So we have x times x minus 2, or x squared minus 2x. And the last, this 1 times anything is itself. So we can just FOIL x minus 2, x plus 2. And you can either completely FOIL that out, which is x squared plus 2x minus 2x plus 4, or you can remember that this is a difference of squares, so it actually simplifies to x squared plus 4. And I can go back through and put in that common denominator that each of them have. And the operation in between, we have subtraction between the first 2. And we have addition between the second 2. And I can do this in that very last row where we have our most simplified numerators. Subtract the first two. Add the last. Okay, so now what we need to do is we're going to actually do these operators, adding and subtracting the fractions together. And to do that, we're going to end up with just one denominator and one large fraction that we're eventually going to simplify. So let's just work from left to right. We start with x squared plus 2x. So we have x squared plus 2x. Then we need to subtract this green x squared minus 2x. Since we're subtracting, we have to distribute the subtraction to both of these terms in the numerator. So we're subtracting x squared, which is minus x squared, but then we're subtracting a negative 2x, or we're adding 2x. And at the end, we're adding, so we're adding x squared, and we're adding 4. Now we're going to look at this numerator that we have and start combining all of the like terms. So I prefer to start with the highest exponent, which is my x squared. So I have an x squared minus an x squared, so those will actually cancel each other out. And then I have a plus an x squared. So I know I'm going to have a positive x squared in the numerator. And I'll cross that out because I know I've covered it and moved it on to the next line. Next, I have just my x's. I have a plus 2x and a plus 2x. And when I combine those together, they add to 4x. And all I have left is this term of plus 4 in the numerator. So I've simplified my numerator, and then I rewrite my denominator. And the last step is to take a really good look at that numerator, that polynomial. Can you factor that polynomial? If you can factor it, then you need to factor it and continue to simplify it with that denominator. This polynomial can't be factored. So our final answer is actually x squared plus 4x plus 4 over x times x minus 2 times x plus 2.